Welcome back to another episode of Real with Ryan, and Happy New Year. If you're watching this around the holidays and the beginning of the year, I hope you had a great holiday season. And if you're watching this at any other time, hopefully there's a few nuggets about habits that can either be entertaining or help you learn something. Anyways, as you might be aware, I haven't made content in quite a long time. So I wanted to make this more informal video and podcast to tell you what I've been up to lately, and then talk about some New Year's resolution stuff, habits, and a few other things that I've learned over the last couple of years. So first, where have I been? Why have I not been making content? And the main reason for that is I have purchased a house in the last handful of months. So you may notice that my room that I'm recording in is a little bit different. Me and Emily purchased a house in August, and leading up to that purchase as well as post moving in was just really, really busy and really crazy. The house that we got is really nice, but it had a ton of work that we had to do to it, including painting just about every single wall in the entire home and just making it feel like ours. And so that was something that has just took priority for me, and unfortunately content kind of went to the back burner because of that move in and that house buying process. But super thankful, super grateful for the home we were able to purchase and being able to move into it. The other thing that's been going on is just busyness at work, my day job. In order to get the house, I do have a 9-to-5 day job that, is primarily paying the bills. YouTube doesn't pay me all that much. And so just with, me getting older, taking on more responsibilities at work, working more hours, just have had a lot more time at work and focus on work versus some of the more creative outlets at home, such as creating content and things like that. And the last thing is that we've been traveling. So a few weeks ago, we actually went on a 15 or 16-day trip to Japan, and went and traveled around the world. We backpacked around Japan. It was an amazing trip. We went to Tokyo, Kyoto, Nozawa Onsen, where we snowboarded in Japan. And so we've just had a lot of things on the plate, but hoping that this video can kind of help get me back into the swing of things with creating content again, and just turning on the recorder, talking about, my life, and then some of the lessons and things that I like to think about and being creative about, such as, building habits, exercise, health, wellness, cooking, all that fun stuff that, really, sparks my creative juices and brings me a lot of fulfillment. So this video, if you're watching it, might as well be for you, but it's just as much for me, and just getting back into the swing of things. Okay, but that is enough about me for today, or what I've been up to. So let me transition and talk a little bit more about a couple of topics I wanted to cover, now that it is January 11th of 2025. And that's going to be kind of New Year's resolution and habit building type topics. The first thing that I wanted to talk about kind of going into 2025 is kind of the acknowledgement that, man, we are living in what feels to be a crazy and getting crazier world. And so every time we look at the news, every time we open up Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, social media of choice is, it's like we're bombarded with crazy things that are happening in the world. New presidencies, new elections, fires, terrorist attacks, all of this stuff is really, really crazy. And, the world is, it seems out of control at times. So just wanted to start off by, saying it doesn't look like the world is going to get any less crazy. And it's just kind of a truth of the matter, a truth of reality that we are alive during crazy times and we are living in a crazy world, and it's likely going to continue to be that way. And with that being said, we don't have very much individual ability to affect the craziness of the world around us, But what we do have is the ability to affect how we as individuals live and react within this world. And so I don't want to spend a lot of time on this topic, but just kind of acknowledging the craziness of the world and the fact that we live within it. And, it's kind of our responsibility to choose how we react to the world around us and try to do our best to kind of stay sane and normal in this world that is so crazy. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can do this, and there's a lot of ways that I try to do this. The first is that I don't think you can underemphasize how important it is to just try to be a good person to the best of your abilities. Sometimes it's easier said than done. Sometimes it's a little cliche, but I really do think that as individuals living in this crazy world, we actually have a lot of impact over ourselves, the people around us, our loved ones, our family, and even our community, just by trying and attempting to be good, kind, pleasant, caring, giving people in our day-to-day interactions. The difference between, saying nothing to the cashier at checkout and, complimenting them on the shoes they're wearing or, wishing them a good day, could be the difference in that person's, day and or week. It really sometimes only takes a little bit of extra kindness and kind of going that extra step to help the lives of people around you. And sometimes even just the little things can help people, more than we're aware of. And so that's kind of a soft challenge, is one, just, in this world that is so crazy, like we need to try to keep being good people as much as we can. And, I'm not perfect. No one's perfect, but I think it's worth keeping in mind that we can try to at least be a little bit better and kinder to those around us. The other thing that I wanted to kind of issue as maybe a softball challenge, and this is something that I am taking as a personal challenge myself here in 2025, is to practice presence, being present and calm kind of in the face of all of this craziness. And so I find myself with work, with life, with the news, getting all wrapped up in all of the insanity that I'm seeing online and all of the craziness of my day-to-day life, and start to feel myself getting anxious, getting stressed, worrying, and feeling a whole cascade of negative feelings and consequences because of that. And so one of the things I'm really trying to do is, as much as I can, stay centered, present, and mindful. And I'm currently doing that through meditation. And so I've been taking it on myself to do about 10 minutes of meditation, mindfulness meditation every single day, and start to just pick that up as a practice again. Recently, I've just been more stressed out. I've been more keen to worry about things. And so the meditation practice is something that I'll be working on. And, it's not a magic bullet, but whenever you do practice the skills of meditation, it really can help keep you centered, keep you calmer, and help you not get so overwhelmed by all of the craziness and stimulation that's happening in the world that we live in. And so that would be, a challenge that I have for you in 2025, is not necessarily to meditate, but, in the face of all this, nuttiness, is as much as we can, let's try to keep a sense of presence. And, I know it's easier said than done. And for some people, it's really, really hard. And, maybe it's a privilege that I am in a position where I am able to try to meditate and stay present. But I think it's something that everyone can do and work on. And it really does have really big benefits to people as individuals. And then once again, if you're able to stay calm, centered, present, mindful, and can bring that energy in your interactions with others, I think it can also have kind of a cascading positive effect on your family, your relationships, your community, etc. All right, but now I wanted to transition one more time and talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions in the way that most people kind of thinking about that. And that's kind of the new year, new you, the common resolution to become, a healthier, better version of yourself. And most people's kind of take on that is to start exercising, dieting, or really just get physically healthier. And that's a really tough thing. We are surrounded by fast food, junk food, all the food at the grocery store that's tasty and cheap is usually not good for us. And it's always the tastiest, it's always the easiest, it's always the cheapest. And exercise is really hard, and building good habits and breaking bad habits is really hard. And so I think this is a New Year's resolution that kind of stands the test of time of just getting healthier. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about, setting good habits, breaking bad habits, getting healthier, and exercise. And some of what I've learned over my years of trials and tribulations with doing so, and some tips, tricks, and advice for you if that's something that you're thinking about here going into the new year. So let me start off with a story of when I kind of embarked on my health, wellness, New Year, New You challenge. And that was actually 8 years ago, the beginning of 2017. And so back then I was in college. I wasn't necessarily unhealthy, but I had a lot of room for improvement. I wasn't exercising a lot. I was probably drinking a little too much. I was probably smoking a little too much pot. And generally speaking, I just hadn't built or established any of the healthy habits of life that, most people should strive to try to build. And so going into 2017, I at least recognized and noticed that I wasn't establishing these habits and I wasn't doing some of the baseline things to kind of set my life in the right direction. And granted, I was, going into the sophomore year of college. I was still young. I think I was 20 years old, maybe 21 years old. But nonetheless, I hadn't built any of those habits and wanted to try to challenge myself to do so. And so what I did the first month of 2017, I set out to do what I called a challenge month. And I had never really set New Year's resolutions before. And so I wanted to, for the first time, set a really firm and hard New Year's resolution and then go after it. And whenever I was thinking about doing this, I ended up deciding that the New Year's resolution wasn't going to be a year-long goal, but instead it was going to be 1 month that was really challenging, really hard, where I would kind of push myself to break bad habits, set some good habits, and really kick off that 2017 year in the healthiest way that I could. And so here's what I did. I had a few rules for this challenge month. The first was I wouldn't drink, and so I stopped drinking. The second is that I wouldn't, use marijuana or other types of drugs, so I stopped using, any of those. The third is that I would take cold showers every single day in January. And the fourth, maybe too much information, but no masturbation either. And so that's the 4 things that I did. No drinking, no drugs, cold showers, and no masturbation. So I set out to do that month, and it was hard. Just cutting right to the chase, it was super, super hard. Now, none of those habits and behaviors I felt like were out of control for me, but, the combination of all of these different things that were playing on my dopamine system that, I was, to various degrees addicted to, I felt if I were able to cut out those things and kind of start fresh, that it would allow me to almost set a bedrock and a baseline that I would be able to build new habits on top of. will say, looking back at that month, the hardest thing was those January cold showers. That was freaking brutal. Every day waking up for class and like wanting to start my morning with like a nice soothing hot shower, or alternatively at the end of the day, I'd been walking around all day ready for a hot shower after work, etc., and then just having to like jump into a freezing cold shower. I'd be like shivering, and it was honestly, cold showers is one of the most brutal things that you can do, but the mental battle and the fortitude you build by like forcing yourself to do that it's crazy, and you do learn a lot. So I don't want to just say that, hey, everyone needs to go and do this type of thing. But it is what I did in that 1 month of setting that goal and then actually committing to and following through is what led me down a path of self-improvement and habit creation that has lasted the next 7 and 8 years. It was the very first time I set these types of challenges for myself that were kind of arbitrary. I just kind of made them up. And then I just did them. And really what that did was prove to myself that I was capable of doing hard things, and prove to myself is that I don't need someone else to tell me what to do. I don't need to go and find a workout routine, a guide, and follow someone else's prescription for how I get better. I can fabricate challenges and things from my own imagination, set those as a goal, and then actually just go and act on those things. And really what I did was prove to myself was that I could keep myself accountable to my own goals. And I think that's the most important lesson that I took away from that challenge month, is that it doesn't really matter about the healthy or bad habits that you're trying to either build or break. All that matters is that you are motivating yourself enough to set an objective, to want to meet that goal, to want to meet that objective, and then you are building the courage and the discipline to actually go and act and follow through with yourself. Because I think that's one of the things that we often do when we set big goals and resolutions is we set these goals and resolutions that are really grand, they're really lofty, and we want to go and get them, but then we end up missing, we don't follow through. And I think what that's kind of, subliminally telling us is that, we're not accountable to ourselves. Every time you set a goal and you don't do it, it's like dropping a penny in the bucket that says, I'm not someone that's following through on my word. It's almost like you're lying to yourself. And so that, I think, is kind of what a lot of people default to, and it's certainly what I had been defaulting to. And so now I've kind of reframed everything. And with that challenge month and then subsequent challenges that I did, it's all building up, the confidence to set a goal and to, the self-accountability to go and do that. And so I think that's one of the things that I want to kind of share with you, and maybe challenge anyone listening to this about New Year's resolutions, is that it's the resolution itself, I don't think, is the most important thing. I think the really powerful thing about the New Year's resolution is to set a resolution that you can achieve and build some momentum and some self-accountability, and build the confidence that whenever you say you want to and you're going to do something, the proof that you have done it and that you can do it. And so I see a lot of people starting off their New Year's and having really, really hard New Year's goals. I see people doing kind of like the hard 75 hard, diet and exercise routine, which is like 2 workouts a day, drinking like a gallon of water, going on like a walk, and something else for 75 days in a row. And it's like, that is I mean, some people can do that, but that's kind of insanity for most people. I think the most disciplined workout kind of freaks are even going to have a really hard time achieving that. So, if you're someone that's setting that type of goal, I think you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure. And so I think, and my kind of advice to most people is actually to set a lot smaller and more achievable goals. And I think the goal is to build a habit and not to achieve the resolution or the goal. And so, for example, instead of, hitting the new year running and saying, hey, I want to drop 50 pounds this year, how about we reduce the length of time? We kind of drop the 50-pound goal and say, in 2024, I didn't exercise all that much. I got a little bit unhealthy. Starting in 2025, like, the thing I want to do is become a healthier person. Eventually, I want to lose that 50 pounds, but what I need to do to get there is really just start, exercising. And so, I'd say that the goal is, for the first month of 2025 is I want to exercise in some way 2 days a week. And if you're listening to this and you're trying to get healthy, you might hear 2 days a week and be like, man, that's nothing. Like, that's not going to get you to lose 50 pounds. And it's likely right. But what happens is people will say, I want to lose 50 pounds. They come out into 2025 or the new year swinging, work out 5 days in a row, get really sore, get really tired. They start to, eat more because you're working out and exercising more, and then begin to hate the process. You begin to dread that next workout. It starts to feel really, really hard. And before you know it, you've skipped one workout. And then before you know it, you've skipped 2 workouts. And then, by the 3rd week of the year, you've kind of given up. Because once you start skipping those workouts, once you start missing on the really aggressive goal that you'd set, what we think is like, we've failed this time. And so, we completely break that habit and we stop trying. That's a generalization, of course. Everyone's different, but I feel like I've seen that pattern again and again and again. And so I would much, much rather see people saying, hey, I want to just start exercising 2 times a week. No matter what that looks like. And that doesn't have to be hard exercise. Like, that could be doing, some push-ups and sit-ups or some yoga at your home. Exercise in the way that feels good for you. Because the important thing is to set that habit of exercise. And in order to set healthy habits, you need time, consistency, and really what you need is to find the way that you can do that and enjoy it. If you hate exercising and you exercise, 100 times in a row, you still hate it, it's still going to feel hard. But if you start to find what are the types of exercise that you kind of enjoy, maybe you like to go on a walk outside in nature, maybe you like to go on a light bike ride, maybe you like stretching and yoga, maybe you like to swim, racquetball, pickleball, like, try to really hone in on what is the type of like exercise and movement that you find. If you can't enjoy it, like what sucks the least, and start there, because you really just need to get repetitions and find the thing that you like, find the thing that you enjoy, and start super small. And let's say you start off a New Year's resolution wanting to exercise 2 days a week for a month. And you do that, you achieve that for, 1 month later, you've exercised 2 days a week and you've done it. Like, what you've done is prove to yourself that you can set a goal and follow through with it. And then after a month, reevaluate if that, felt like the right amount. Like, just keep with it. Exercise 2 more days a week for another month. But if you're feeling like, hey, I think I can step this up. I kind of found the things that I like to do and exercise. Like, let me go for 3 days a week and jump up there. Or maybe like saying, hey, I was mostly walking and doing yoga. Like, I know I need to eventually lift weights. Like, let's have like one of those workouts each week be weight training of some capacity. And what you can start to do is prove to yourself you can follow through with your own goals, but you're getting healthier along the way. And then you can incrementally challenge yourself as you're just slowly stepping your habits and your self accountability in the right direction. And that's the type of thing that sets lasting change. Because I think the goal for, weight loss and healthiness is not to just lose the weight. It's to be the healthier person that, has lost the weight. Because if you lose 50 pounds and then you stop doing whatever it is you did to get there, you're just going to gain the weight back. And so we really have to, I think, shift, and the goals should be habit based and lifestyle based, and not just, the end result based. Because it's the lifestyles, it's the habits that's truly going to change your life over the long term. And that's going to what's, creating a lasting impact to your life and lifestyle. But I got a little bit excited. I started ranting a little bit. I hope that was somewhat coherent for you as you're listening. Just to kind of recap a couple of things is, one, Happy New Year to anyone who's listening this in the new year. Two, I've been busy, but I'm going to try to get back into content. And I think sharing thoughts, ideas is going to be one of the ways that I'm doing that. And so if you do have any suggestions for things you want to hear me talk about, whether that's health, wellness, cooking, investing, home ownership, or just telling, fun stories from my travels in Japan or some of the challenge months and crazy things that I've done in the past, let me know in a comment. Happy to make more content like this, and really appreciate for anyone who does watch. To continue recapping, just on the New Year's, we're living in a crazy world. We can't control the world around us, but what we can do is control our reactions and how we live within the world. So the challenge there is, hey, let's try to build on being present, maybe practicing meditation, but at the least, do what you can to try to be a good person to the people around you, and you'll be surprised the benefits that you will see because of that, but also the power that you have to help people around you and help people, have a happier experience living in this world. And the last thing is about New Year's resolutions. One is, I think it's important to try to challenge yourself to become better. And that too, I think trying to set resolutions where you're building habits is going to be a little bit better than, setting really grand resolutions where you're achieving some sort of very hard goal. That's a generalization. You do what's best for you, but that's just something that I've seen. And the last thing is, if you are someone who's trying to get healthier in the new year, don't be afraid to start small. It's so much better to start small, to get some wins, to build some momentum, to build some proof to yourself, and to, try to set that habit before starting to ratchet up how intensely you're going after your exercise, health, and wellness goals. But that's it all. That's everything for today. Thanks for bearing with me while I've been on my own journey the last handful of months. And if you did watch this far, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for keeping it real with Ryan.